Over everything in my room just to kind of give you an idea of where everything is located and what it's for. Maybe it'll help you out. So let me show you. So over here in these messy shelves, I have different kinds of glue. So this is clear glue for certain projects. I like to put this on black construction paper, and then they can use the chalk pastels in between once it's dry. I have a bunch of erasers in here. These are some different things like for observations. They can like give these to each other, and they can say, great job on what? I like your flower because it was colorful, you know, and this helps with observations and to get them thinking about their art while they're talking to each other. These are some games that I made up, and so you put the cards down and they need to say whether it is geometric or organic shapes. And all right, some of that. These are the straws I told you about when they were blowing the paint. I use cups just to organize a whole lot. Crayons, these are pretty nice. They're not too abused. Sometimes I don't give kindergarten the nicer crayons, but hopefully this year they have their own. Pencils, this is my favorite brand right here, this USA Gold. They seem to sharpen pretty well. I have a sharpener, but I don't let the kids use it. I only use it. These pans are good for doing marble mixing or different kinds of things where you don't want them making a mess everywhere. These are construction paper crayons. So I usually don't let the kindergartners use these too much because they will just break them and eat them. But these show up really well on construction paper. They're like more oily or colorful. Colored pencils, I don't use them a whole lot just because they're a pain in the butt to sharpen. I'd love to get those colored pencils that don't have the wood. They make them where they're just color all the way through and through. Those will be amazing, but they're kind of expensive. These crayons without the wrappers, I like to use, I'll get some leaves from outside or those plates that I have, and I tell them, all right, we're gonna take our crayon and we're gonna make it lay down. Say, lay down, crayon, and they all say that. And then I say, now pinch it, ow! And then we scrub and make the textures come through. Sometimes I'll just take them outside and let them find a leaf or two or three and then bring them back in, and we'll do that, make rubbings out of the leaves. This is some spaghetti that was, right? Spaghetti. That was for some school event. They were gonna let the kids stick spaghetti in marshmallows. I think that was Summer's fabulous idea. I got marshmallows all over my room. I'm still not happy about that. So you can have that spaghetti, use it in whichever way, shape, or form you want. Knock your socks off. This is some paper. I just have like lined paper. I thought about doing something with helping the kids with their handwriting, just various and assorted papers for different projects. I do have some aprons. I don't suggest it. It's a pain in the butt to keep them clean. I just tell them to wear funky clothes on art day. I was keeping portfolios for the kids, but I don't think that's gonna happen this year. I think you're just gonna leave all their art in their classroom. These are the chalk pastels. You can see how I arrange them, and my black crayons for outlining, and white crayons for doing the wax resist stuff. Some pastels in here, more just like, you know, when I want to set things out on their desks, I do it like this so it's easier. I don't know how that's going to work this year with no shared supplies probably. That's the good brushes I was telling you about. Don't let teachers touch those. That's only for you. And we talked about the watercolor paints. These, I bought these one year and I haven't used them yet. They're not tempera paints, but they're not acrylic paints. I'm afraid to use them in my brushes. Maybe you can try them out on your own and see what they do. But the tempera paints are great for using in the brushes because they don't dry out and get funky, but they don't stick to the paper well. So the trick is to put a little bit of this just plain old school glue. This one here, the school glue. Now, if you're going to be gluing something that needs to stick, the glue all is the better glue. The school glue is kind of The glue all holds stuff really well. Let's go back over here. We have rulers, some extra scissors. I usually keep these things on a desk, and there's usually 3 kids to a desk, and they're kind of color coded. And I like teaching them not to touch things until they're supposed to. And so they know to keep their hands off of the objects until they're asked to. I even put their numbers on their erasers to check who's eating them and who's leaving them. So that's that. Those are those trays that I use for mixing colors with marbles. These are my tempera cakes. All right, those are fun, but you gotta use those big bristle brushes. Don't use the good brushes. These are some cheesy brushes I brought. I don't know. Somebody bought them for me. I don't know if they're any good. You can try them. I don't care. I think they're like so cheap. That's like color coding stuff. These things you can use just as little, baskets, however you want to use them. I get these from Robin Barbier. Her son has a medical issue and she's got a ton of those to donate. More of those things. These work good if you turn them over and use the other side like a paint palette. In here is all kinds of things that I had, just like leftover projects. And then there's some substitute teacher kind of stuff I left for the substitute teachers to do. And then there's also some games in here. These are fun. These roll landscapes. And there's, I printed this one off the internet. I made this one up myself. It's called Roll a Flower. And so what they do is I have a cup and it's got numbers in it, like class numbers. And so I'll pull a number, and whoever's number I pull, say I pull number 5. Okay, who's number 5 in class? That person gets to come up and get the dice. If they're not allowed to touch things after each other, I would suggest maybe everybody do a drum roll, and then you throw it up in the air and be silly about it, make it hit the ceiling or whatever. And hit it with your head, your elbow, whatever it lands on. So the first roll, number 3, they would have to draw that vase, right? And then the next roll, if you roll a number 1, you'd have to draw this background, and then you start adding flowers. The fun part comes in when you get to the end and they get to add their own details. Then they want to add, something else on the table, somebody in the background, whether it's inside, outside, a window, whatever. So these are tempera paints. And I think I have a little bit of glue in these. And if they start smelling like a fart, they're no good, right? If this thing like gets swollen and when you open it up, it smells like egg, it's time to get rid of that. I do have more tempera paints down here. But it's probably time to order a whole new set of these gallon jugs, because I think some of these are funky and they're really old, and some of them are almost out. So get a whole new set of tempera paints, gallon jugs. There's some like big roll of paper down there my cousin donated, and there's some of this foam. If you need to make some kind of tracers or whatever, you can use this foam to cut a bunch of tracers out of. These are, those funky watercolor sets. Welcome to them. I don't usually use those. There's some more tempera paints up here. This is a hot mess. This was like March 13th madness. Just grabbed everything, shoved it up here. So you can organize this however you want. These markers and stuff, I usually keep under that table right there. But you do whatever you want. Put them wherever you want. And there's some books in here that you can reference for ideas on art lesson plans, more organizational stuff. Do whatever you want with those. You can take them home. I don't care. Those containers. These toothpicks were for that crazy day with the marshmallows. I swear, I found the next school year, at the beginning of the year after this disaster, I found behind that time timer, I pulled it down to change the battery, and there was a freaking marshmallow toothpick behind that. It's a nightmare. No, never again. No more marshmallows. I have like ribbons, and I have these are very safe for the littles. And you can get some sacks from the coffee places. Will donate sacks and cut them up and use that. Yarn in there, yarn in that box. There's some tape. We used that when we were making the playground, the paintings in the driveway. There's some googly eyes, tape, miscellaneous assorted stuff. The spiral art, it may be hard to clean all that. I don't know if that would be a great idea. I did use this at the beginning of school. Everybody was able to make spiral art, you know. It's good for special occasions. This is nice if you want to go outside and do open air drawings. They can put their paper under there and go sit outside and draw with those. Lots of like rubbing plates here, lots of tracing materials, some Q-tips. I thought about doing some Q-tip paintings where they just dip and then, you know, splotch it on and make cherry blossoms or whatever would be cool. There's those raggedy pieces of cardboard that I love so much, and some round ones that I used as tracers one year. Lots of magazines to use. There's some chopsticks that somebody donated to me. Over here is a bunch of extra crayons. I usually only use Crayola and pitch the rest of them. Rose Art is crap. I don't use that. This is SLT Materials, so the student learning target tests. I have them all separated out so that when they take their tests, they can have their warm and cool colors, because these are the questions that I asked them on the SLT. So this is kind of, you know, what you're shooting for when you're teaching, is learning warm and cool colors, primary colors, parallel lines, 2D shapes, 3D forms, organic shapes, geometric shapes, shading, space, more space, less space, rough texture, and background, how to draw a background. So, and then this is like what I use for them to study for their SLT, this paper here. They also need to know the difference between a portrait and a still life. And I explained to them that a person standing still is not a still life, right? It's just a thing that's real life standing still. And a person is a portrait. And then they also need to know landscapes. So, and then there's your elements of art up there. My rules, they're really easy. If you know the first one, always be kind. You got all of it, right? Because it's respect teacher, materials, other self, and try your best. They are not allowed to not try. Or cry. Ugh, I hate crying. It makes me so sad. So there's our SLT materials. There's some papers here. A movie set donated all this leftover paper. I usually take these and cut them to square, and then we do origami with these. They love origami. They get really simple origami though. Very simple. These are hot plates. You're probably not going to get to use these this year, but kind of dangerous but fun. you take paper and put it on top, and they're hot, so the kids have to be really careful not to burn themselves, and they can melt crayons onto the top of the paper. And it's science because we talk about you know, solids and liquids, and so the crayon goes from that solid to liquid back to solid state again as soon as it cools. So I have a few of those warming trays. These shirts were here in my room, and if somebody is wearing something completely white and I'm terrified of getting them dirty, I'll slap a shirt on them. There's some wood sticks in here, just some plain old wood sticks. This is, like I said, the glue, the school glue. I don't use that for a whole lot, except using it in Tempera Paint. Glue All is the glue of choice that sticks things together. I have some glue sticks. I don't like them a whole lot. I don't use them a whole lot. I don't find they work very well. When I do use the Glue All, here's a good tip. So let me see if I have some over here. How I do that is, I have these nasty brushes that you get in the watercolor sets, and I will get some, these containers. I have them empty right now. So I have these containers. I put a little bit of glue in the bottom of them, just a tiny bit, and the kids can dip their paintbrush and then use that to glue with. Much better than trying to, you know, clean up blobs of this stuff, right? All right, so that's the glue speech. There's things under here for tracing too, lots of circles and different shapes. What is this? I know there's so much in here I just have never used. Bobbins, why? I don't know. They're good for tracing. And what is this in here? What is this? Is this paper? Oh, yay! I didn't even know this was in here. Yay. Okay, so you got some 90-pound drawing paper, 800 sheets. That's not going to take you through two. It'll take you through one project, unless a bunch of people don't show up. More of that donated paper. This is the stuff I use when I'm making signs. Oops, let's show it. When I'm making signs and stuff, I use this really nice paper. Let's go over here. This is my friend Lauren's microwave and her refrigerator. She asked me to hold it in the room, but you can use it. There's some more papers. This was all stuff that was in the room when I got here. Some more pencils, markers, erasers. There's some old funky oil pastels. This is the crap the teachers get to borrow, sorry. And I think it's the chalk pastels. Yeah, there's some chalk pastels up here. And there's some brayers. I don't know if you are going to be able to get into printing, but there's brayers up here. And in this closet, there's some pieces of plexi down there. In this closet also, I have acrylic paint. I never, ever, never, that's a big no-no. No acrylic paint, because it just doesn't come out of anything. If the teachers want to borrow acrylic paint, I let them borrow it, but they get the crappy brush with it, right? Because they're going to destroy it. These are just some, I don't know. I think this is yours. I don't remember seeing this here. Is that yours? And just some, you know, various and assorted. Use what you want. That's the colors that I purchased to go in this room. Over here, there's some posters if you want to dig through that and use those as examples. There's a cutter. This is all the stuff that we put, it's heavy, out on the driveway. And we have another one that we were going to make, like a sensory path. And I think the instructions for that are in there if you ever want to make the sensory path, like you're going to have any extra time. Haha. This is what we use to make the circles, if you need to make any more circles. Let's see, there's some markers. You need to order some more markers. All of these are just old and dried up. There's some good, this kind of marker, right? Permanent marker, but you need some new watercolor markers, washable markers. There's more scissors here as if you need any more. Again, like I said, this is where I tell teachers, yes, borrow whatever you want from this shelf. Up here, there's some of that tissue paper. This is a huge box of coffee filters. So if you think of a project that you need to use coffee filters with, go for it. There's some Kleenex up in that box if you need Kleenex. Up here is some donated string and stuff. Inside of these albums, these are really nice wallpaper samples. I use those with the junior high a good bit. But I could see a collage project happening with the littles, and more of those hospital trays that you can use to do prints or just to keep them from making a mess in their area. Those are empty. Some more various and assorted stuff. This is how I used to keep, like, each class had all of their work, and then I would send it home at the end of the year. But I don't think you're doing that this year. These are for testing. If you have to do SLTs, it's little testing things that I put around each kid so they can't see each other's work. And my desk. So all this crap right here, believe it or not, most of this was on my desk. I'm gonna let you organize however you want to organize. I'm not micromanaging you by any means. And feel free. Organize whatever you're not using. Feel free to pack it away and put it, you know, on a shelf somewhere where it's not going to be in the way. Use whatever you want. I don't want you to feel funny about using my stuff, because I trust you're going to take good care of stuff. And I'm glad I opened this drawer. These are smellies. I'm sure your daughter has talked about smellies. And I just put a little swipe on the back of their wrist, usually, like, you know, right about where my armband is right there. And that way they don't wash off when they're smelling their hands. And that's their reward for having a good day. And if they didn't have a good day, they don't get that reward. So this is how I work that reward. Is I have these cones, so you can put these on your cart. And so if a kid keeps talking over the top of me, I just take this cone and I put it on their desk. You don't have to say a word, just put it on their desk. And if they ask you what that is, they should already know. And I explain it to them at the beginning of the year. This is a warning, okay? So this is your warning cone. Don't even have to say it. And then if they keep talking, that means I'm gonna come with the next cone and I'm gonna put that cone on top. That means you're not getting a smelly today, right? So you get one warning, then no smelly. And I usually don't let them earn it back. They have to learn that they're not getting one, and then they can't, you know, act bad, act good, act bad, act good, and keep getting it back again and again. So I just like, nope, you're done. This is my love heart. I'm probably going to take this with me, but I wanted to show you this. So I'll just get like a piece of construction paper like that. And I stamp out a bunch of them before class. And it's so cute. It's just this little love heart. And they freaking adore getting one of these. And half the time they lose them. They don't even remember that they left them. But fun stuff. Construction paper, great for projects. One of my favorite things to do at the end of the year-ish is when we talk about the difference between 2D and 3D is I cut a bunch of these strips, and then we make a 3D world out of these. So they take one piece of construction paper, I let them choose whatever color they want. Oh, that's like stuck. Okay. And so they put that, and then we get that glue with the paintbrush that I showed you, and they'll put a little dot on one side, and then they'll glue it down, and then they press it, and they count 10 Mississippis while they're pressing. And then they can let up, and then they can, you know, mold it, and then do another side. And I usually have different size strips. and I allow them to use their scissors to do whatever they want with the strips, and then they make like whatever they want. It could be a water park or a baseball field, whatever, but they have all these little strips everywhere, and they get very creative, make little people, and they love that. Love that project. Okay. So this thing is on wheels. It doesn't look like it, but you can wheel it out. And behind there, ta-da, is some paints. There's some more Tempera Paints hiding back here. Some of them are funky. You gotta check them out and see. You can mix them up really good and open it up. If it smells like eggs, pitch it, and put that on your list to order new ones. You can get like metallic Tempera paint. I haven't really used that too much. I never use this student watercolor stuff here, but you might, or you might want to use it at Folsom. So there's some sponges and things up there, some more watercolor sets, some salt, and these are the the paint brushes I usually let other people borrow, right? And there's some more watercolor sets. This is a hot mess. This is what I used out on the driveways, and that's the paint brushes I used out on the driveways. They're probably need a good washing. I think they've been sitting there and they're probably crusty. And more supplies. So I hope I covered everything in my room. This is my value door. We talk about value from light to dark, dark to light, and we talk about vertical and horizontal. Like everything in the room is a learning tool, right? And we talk about the ceiling tiles and how you know, this line and this line are parallel to one another, and the lines running this way and this way are parallel to one another, but the ones that run across each other are not parallel. And then we find different things in the room that have parallel lines, and we go over those lessons again and again and again because they are on the SLT at the end of the year. So I hope I covered all this craziness. So let me know. I'm gonna take this guy home because this is my ceramics drying shelf. But you have this rack over here if you need a drying rack. Okay? All right, later.